Good morning, everybody. It's fantastic to see you all again. Welcome back to the Find Your Flow channel. And in this video, we're talking about the book Brainwash, which I encourage you all to check out at the start of the month. And we're coming back around full circle. I'm going to go over the topics in that book a little bit and talk about why you might want to check it out for yourself if you haven't already, and also what you can learn from the book. So let's get right into it. So the book Brainwash starts off introducing this concept called Disconnection Syndrome, which is a bit of a case of the issues with technology today and all of the problems that it brings about for both our own personal health as well as the relationships of the people around us. And so the issues that sort of come about with disconnection syndrome include things like lower empathy, an increased risk of more narcissistic tendencies, as well as using more of our primitive brain, the amygdala, and our fear responses, which leads to more anxiety, depression, other mental health issues, versus activating and using our prefrontal cortex for more of our decision making and everything. Now, the book's not a complete write-off of technology, as there's all kinds of benefits to the technology we have these days, but it does show some of the things we need to be more concerned about, and then gets into all the details of things that we can actually help and eliminate by following what's called the Brainwash protocol, which is a 10-day plan for reducing all of the issues or just identifying the things that you need most work on when it comes to the issues with disconnection syndrome. Now, the book isn't just a set of scare tactics around technology and the potential pitfalls. That's just a lead-in to what they call the Brainwash components, or the protocol of the Brainwash program, which is a 10-day set of steps that you can take in order to quote-unquote wash your brain of some of the issues of disconnection syndrome. And so each one is a little bit of a cursory overview of the different topics, and I think if there's one downside to the book, it's that they try to cram a whole lot of information into a 200-page book. And so they are very much just laundry lists of all the things that you can do for health and wellness, and kind of comes off as just a list of things like studies say that ... it really requires a lot more than just 200 pages to fully cover all the details of all 10 days of what they cover in the Brainwash program. Now, I do think this could actually be a good thing, though, in some ways, especially for people that are struggling with the sort of symptoms of this disconnection syndrome. To have everything in a very short and sweet chapter format makes it very applicable and practical as ammo to try to correct some of these issues with disconnection syndrome. Now, there's essentially 8 different wellness practices in the Brainwash program, and then there's 2 more days which are dedicated to sort of the reflection and how you're going to move forward with the different things that are going to make the biggest impact in your life. So the first one that really is the impetus and driver behind the whole book and program is the digital interactions, how we're handling our technology, what we're using it for, and how we're sort of integrating it without letting it rule our lives. So that's the first thing to take stock of, is using apps like the screen time that show you how you can improve your technology use without overdoing it. The second part is our interpersonal relationships and empathy. So one of the issues with this disconnection syndrome is a lack of empathy. We're not making eye contact as much because we're glued to our screens, and things like that are impacting our relationships. So taking stock of your relationships, as well as how you're practicing empathy and intentional listening in conversations, is another important part of the program. And then one of the reasons that I really wanted to check out the book is because of their discussion on nature and forest bathing. And we know that there's a lot of benefits to getting out in nature. A lot of the research is really new and fresh in the field, even though it's such an old tradition in a lot of cultures. And so just know that the more time that you spend outdoors, it actually helps to calm you down, reduce blood pressure, reduce stress and anxiety. The fragrances in plant oils are really valuable for enhancing the way our brain functions and activating areas of our brain. And so that's another way that you can combat this disconnection syndrome. Now, David Perlmutter writes a lot of books in the field of brain health and nutrition. And so clearly and obviously there's going to be a chapter on diet and nutrition, which essentially talks about eliminating inflammatory foods and eating more natural foods, things that are going to promote brain health, which is going to help you with this brainwash protocol. And that also ties in with exercise and movement. The more that we get a consistent and regular exercise program in place is going to help with preferentially activating our prefrontal cortex, which is part of what the whole disconnection syndrome issue is around, is overuse of our amygdala, our reptilian brain, and not enough time or activation in our prefrontal cortex to make more logical and slow thought process decisions. And the other two components of the brainwash program that are also really important is sleep and meditation. Now, sleep is where we get this really deep restorative component of the brainwash, where your brain actually shrinks in size when you're sleeping, which allows cerebrospinal fluid to flush and literally do a brainwash and remove all the gunk that's in our brains overnight. It also is really important for memory, consolidation, and just feeling at our optimum well-being. People that get less sleep than they need necessarily for their bodies do have issues with more depression and poor cardiovascular health and a whole bunch of different things. And meditation ties into that as well, because it's like doing a bicep curl for our brain. So practicing meditation, and they've got a very simple prescription to just do 12 minutes a day, which helps us to activate our prefrontal cortex and build gray matter in the brain, and really helps us to just get more grounded. It also develops more empathy, which once again is part of the issue with this disconnection syndrome. So including some sort of meditation, it can even be something that's included with getting out in nature and doing like a walking meditation, or you can easily tie it into your routine prior to going to sleep. So then the final 2 days of the brainwash program is about taking stock and moving forward. And with taking stock, it's just a day of reflection to look at what was most challenging, what worked best for you in the brainwash program, and how you can then go into day 10 with moving forward, putting together a strategy that you can include more of this stuff in your routine if you haven't already. And so I thought this book was a great overview of all of these topics. I think a lot of them are things that I already include in my routine, so I can definitely get on board with what the argument and what the program entails. I can see the benefits of it, and so if you haven't included a lot of these different components into your wellness routine already, it's a good book to check out. I'd rate it 4 out of 5 stars just because with 200 pages in it, it doesn't have enough time to go into detail on all of the different components, which is fair enough. It's a good overview, as I said. So I just want to take a moment to thank you for following along with this book review. And if you did read this book this month alongside me, that's awesome. I hope that you enjoyed it and you found some value out of it. I certainly did. And I'm sure it's a book that I will turn back to as something that I can then reference to look into more detail in some other books or some other sources, because it is quite the cursory overview. Now, if you like this style of video, I'm always reading more books, so let me know what you're reading or what you want me to check out or suggest that I check out, and I can consider doing another book review episode in the future. And I'm really grateful for you for subscribing or tuning into this video. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, it really makes a difference and helps to get this content out to more people. And until next time, dream on and find your flow.